going to go on to the next question from Jennifer, but Senator Edwards, you really want to weigh in.
I just wanted to answer the original question that was asked, which was, how do you reconcile Musharraf being in power with our ideas of a liberal democracy? And I think one of the things we have seen during the course of the Bush administration is America is not for any possible kind of democracy. We're for democracies that respect the rights of minorities, that actually respect civil rights and individual liberties. And one danger that anyone has to recognize with the possible taking down of Musharraf as the president of Pakistan, and I met with him also in Islamabad a few years ago. One of the things we have to recognize is if he goes out of power, given the power of radical Islam in Pakistan, there's absolutely no way to know what kind of government will take his place.
And Pakistan's a nuclear power also. Jennifer, go ahead.
Jeff Turiel is here with us tonight. You are a psychologist at Nashua High School. Would that be Nashua North?
Nashua North, that's correct.
What's your question tonight?
I would like to address the crisis in Darfur. At this time, as many as 400,000 people have been killed. Millions are more without food and shelter. If you were elected president, what role do you think the United States should play in addressing this terrible tragedy?
Wolf.
Yeah.
I just was there.
Go ahead, Senator.
You know, we have to stop talking about it. A lot of talk goes on about it. The United Nations has already said they're prepared to put in a 21,000 force, including the African Union. In fact, you have in the capital of Sudan, the government saying, we're not going to allow that to happen. They have forfeited their sovereignty by engaging in genocide. We should impose a no-fly zone. If the UN will not move now, we should impose a no-fly zone, and we should commit 2,500 NATO troops. You could take out the Janjaweed tomorrow. I went there. I sat in the borders. I went in those camps. They're going to have thousands and thousands and thousands of people die. We've got to stop talking and act. That's why last Monday I went to see the President of the United Nations, as the General Assembly, as well as the Secretary General, to make that point.
Raise your hand if you agree with Senator Biden that the United States should use military force to stop the genocide in Darfur.
We're talking about a no-fly zone?
Hold on.
Well, I was there too.
This is an important issue.
Absolutely. Ask about a no-fly zone. I think you'll get
about American troops.
us behind Joe's policy.
You start with the no-fly zone, but very often, Senator Clinton, that could move on to other operations.
Well, but we're not going to engage in these hypotheticals. I mean, one of the jobs of a president is being very reasoned in approaching these issues, and I don't think it's useful to be talking in these kind of abstract hypothetical terms. And I think that...
I don't want to raise hands.
I was there.
Governor, would you use force to save people in Darfur?
No. What I would do is, and I was there, I got a very fragile ceasefire put together 3 months ago. And we made things a little better. I went with the Save Darfur Coalition. This is what I would do. Number one, more UN peacekeepers. The government is refusing to make this happen. Secondly, economic sanctions. We've imposed them, but they're weak. We need European countries to make them happen. Third, we need China to lean on China, which has enormous leverage over Darfur. And if the Chinese don't want to do this, we say to them, maybe we won't go to the Olympics. And lastly, what we need is a country, a foreign policy that cares about Africa, that cares that 300,000 human beings have died, have been massacred, that over 2 million have lost their homes, gender-based violence, rape. America should care about Africa, and we don't.
What about that idea? Hold on a second. What about that idea, Senator Dodd, about possibly boycotting the Beijing Summer Olympic Games if China doesn't use its influence to stop the genocide in Sudan?
I think that goes too far, Wolf. Here, look, this is a major issue. There are ways of dealing with this. We're not only going to elect a president in November of 2008, we're going to elect arguably the most important, if not the most important leader in the world. And it's going to be critically important that we use the tools available to us to exercise the influence we'd like on China, on Russia, and other nations to be more cooperative and participate in solving some of these problems here. That's going to require real leadership based on experience that knows how to bring people together. Certainly reminding the Chinese of the importance of this issue, utilizing those tools and available to us. But the idea that you'd go in and stop the Olympics from happening, I don't think gets you there. I think there's more likely to delay the kind of influence and support China ought to be providing.
Senator Edwards?
Actually, I disagree with my friend Chris Dodd about that. I think that we should use whatever tools available to us. But and I have to say, Senator Biden, Governor Richardson, I applaud their being so vocal and out there on this issue. It's enormously important. But I think all of us recognize that this is a piece of a bigger puzzle, which is America no longer has the moral authority to lead in the world. Watching a genocide continue has contributed to that, but it is not the only thing. The spread of HIV/AIDS, I think America ought to actually lead an effort to make primary school education available to 100 million children in the world who desperately need it, including in Africa. And you asked earlier about...
We're going to go back to Jennifer, but go ahead, Senator Obama, very quickly.
Two things. One, we are going to continue to see some of these problems in ungoverned spaces. And we've got a security interest and a humanitarian interest in dealing with this. And we've got to work internationally to figure out how we can get forces to stop genocides like this. Second point, our legitimacy is reduced when we've got a Guantanamo that is open, when we suspend habeas corpus. Those kinds of things erode our moral claims that we are acting on behalf of broader universal principles, and that's one of the reasons why those kinds of issues are so important.
Let's go back to the other
Wait a minute. People are going to cancel the Olympics.